Well, hello guys. Let's be honest, I'm not having a great day. A little emotional today. But I got something in the mail and I'm really excited to go through it. Maybe you too are not having the greatest of days, but perhaps we can enjoy looking at something beautiful and meditate on that instead. So, I found out about this deck some weeks ago. And it is I guess it doesn't say on the box, the Botanica Tarot by Kevin J. Stanton. And it is a gorgeous deck. I hesitated getting it just because, well, for a lot of reasons, one of which is I bought a couple decks recently and I'm not supposed to be, so. But look, it's spring. This is a quintessential spring energy deck, if there was one. And I just kind of couldn't stop thinking about it. So I found it and was like, okay, screw it. I'm getting it. It comes with a pretty unique box, really beautiful box. Has this kind of a slide out situation and really gold detailing. Really pretty gold detailing, and then perhaps you can see in the box there's even more detailing in there. I like it. Only problem is because I have long nails. When the cards are in the box and I go to get it out, I have to be careful putting my finger in here to not stab the gilding with my claws, because don't want to do that. Comes with a small guidebook, kind of pamphlet style. My understanding is that when this was a Kickstarter deck, it was wildly successful, and at some point there was an edition that came with whether it was an edition or a separate thing you could buy, there was like a hardcover, possibly more expanded guidebook, but I can work with this. This is fine. And this came out a couple years ago. So it also came with some stickers. Came with this, which I believe is a sticker, and you can like put on a notebook or anything really. It's just a really beautiful design. And what else? Came with this patch, which goes one way or another, I'm not sure, but it's pretty. And it came with this charm, which I would be inclined to possibly hang in a window. So, the other extra it came with, which is something that always gets me excited, is all these like bonus cards, and in this case, he made them something that would be usable if you wanted to and have them be postcards, but it's a bunch of different cards from the deck. And for me, I love when this is the case because in my mind, I'm like, these are basically mini prints that I can, if I can find frames for these, which by the way, if you happen to know a good place to get small frames, I don't know how big these are. I've investigated on Amazon. There's a few listings I might at some point try, but it's like not the easiest thing to find, especially if you want to just get a bunch that are preferably cheap. But at any rate, I know this one's the Lovers, and then on the rest I'd have to check, but like this is Page of Cups. This one, Seven of Cups. This one's Six of Pentacles, pretty sure, Six of Coins, as it's called in here. And then what is this one? The World. Very cool. So as you can see, it's a deck where all of the artwork is illustration of plants. And in the actual deck itself, aside from little symbols in the top portions of the cards, it does not have the name of the card on it. This used to be something that scared me. Then I got Ritual Tarot, then I got the Nameless One Tarot, and I realized, at least where I'm at in my tarot journey, I can work with that as long as I resonate with the images of the deck and I give myself a little bit of time to get to know it. And this was one I could tell, for whatever unusual reason, I was going to resonate with. I'm not, or at least not historically anyway, the most plant-versed person. I've never really had much success growing plants. It's not a natural skill for me, but I love plants. And especially this spring, I just feel like I've really tuned in to plants and wanting to learn about them, and perhaps risking getting one again to take care of. I really get upset when I kill them. I killed an air plant once. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's get into the deck. So first we have the Fool, which is dandelion. And I don't know about you, but for me that just somehow works. Like, I love that. I love the imagery. I also love these illustrations being on a black background. That's really cool to me. Gold gilding. So that's beautiful on top of everything else. And the tonalities of the artwork, also really cool. There's something that feels like, kind of, what comes to mind is like a museum exhibit. Like if I went to the Museum of Natural History, I could see this kind of stuff in an exhibit. So I think that's part of what excites me about it. I'll put them like this, so maybe you get 2 chances to look at cards. I've heard that in a printing of this deck, and for all I know, maybe this one, that there were some issues with cards. I'm gonna hope this one's pretty okay. Issues with there being like scuff type of marks on them or whatever. So far, a few cards in, it looks great, and I like the deck enough that I think I wouldn't care too much, to be honest. I'm not going to be able to tell you what all these plants are, but I think this one's mistletoe for the magician. And the guidebook, let's see. High Priestess was, what was it? Elderberry? I won't go through all of this intensely right now because this is kind of just a flip through. But just so you get an idea, yeah, the magician's mistletoe. It gives you like a little paragraph or a slightly longer paragraph discussing the plant and its reasoning for being chosen. And then the rest I don't mind researching on my own. I kind of have a thing for research decks. I don't know what it is. I just probably have a good 50 years worth of things to research as it is. So why not add a few more? I don't know. But yeah, High Priestess was Elderflower. Which again, somehow, I don't, just like intuitively somehow resonates with me. Maybe I'll zoom in for you. We'll see how that works. I already have cat hair everywhere. And then, let's see. This is Magnolia for the Empress, which is really cool. Magnolia's been one of the trees around here that's been peak for the past couple weeks. And I keep noticing them this year and how beautiful they are. And I think I learned from Seed and Sickle Oracle that Magnolia is one of the oldest trees that's been around on this earth. Yeah, it says it in here too. Magnolia is one of the Earth's oldest flowers as a result of continental drift spread across almost every corner of the world. Which again, like intuitively just, I don't know. I think he really did a beautiful job, an inspired job with this deck. And if a deck's inspired, I'm totally into it. This one's really cool for the Emperor, John the Conqueror route, which I think, this is a really random side note, but I got into a big argument with ChatGPT over whether or not John the Conqueror route is part of a morning glory plant, and because there's, I guess, debate over what specific genus, if that's the right word, it didn't want to definitively say yes, and I was like, but you keep saying it's from, if I were to go and buy it, anyway, I'm not going to argue with ChatGPT again like that, because I just was losing my damn mind. The Hierophant is Rose, which is very cool. The Lovers is Peony. That's the card that we have an extra of. This is Nasturtium. which is a plant that's become pretty significant to me recently. That's a whole other story. That's the Chariot. So this is one of the reasons why I kind of couldn't not get this deck. Like I said, this plant recently became kind of significant for me. The Chariot card is my card in the deck. My sun sign's in Cancer. And I was just like, I don't know. When the synchronicities line up like that, do you just walk away from that? I mean, I want to try growing these. I was talking to my brother, who is a true green thumb gardener and steward of the land, and he was giving me tips and saying that it's not too difficult. But again, I killed an air plant, so I have reservations. So for strength, ironwood. I love the colors. I love everything about this artwork. It's just so beautiful. This is the Hermit, which, like, if you didn't have the symbol here and you gave me this card and said, what card is this in the tarot? Like, I would know that this is the Hermit. So I feel like I will learn this deck. I will learn new plants. This, by the way, is the Winter Cherry, if you're curious. For the Wheel of Fortune, or in this deck it's called the Medicine Wheel, we have Star Anise. I think the gilding is maybe a little sticky, but... Oh, the back of the cards, by the way, because I didn't show those to you. Really beautiful. So yeah, that's the Medicine Wheel. We have Justice as Gladiolus. Ooh, so it says here, in the arena, Roman gladiators were rewarded for their victories with a shower of gladiolus. Its name is drawn from the Latin root word for sword, and gladiolus are flowers that represent strength, integrity in life and in battle. Like, you see what I mean? I just, this is a really cool deck. It felt like I needed it. Just what I say about every deck. But, you know, the Hanged Man is Narcissus. Reflection. So this is where I'm seeing what some people were saying about printing issues. I saw some copies out there that maybe had a more shiny cardstock, and to be honest with you, I'd rather have, I don't know how well I'll be able to show this. You can see where there's some issues with how the card was printed, right? I'd rather have that in the matte cardstock than a glossier cardstock and not have that, because I don't feel like, especially looking through my phone right now, you're not seeing it as much as I'm seeing it. Probably the most noticeable areas right here. I can live with it for how much I love the deck, honestly. Anyway, this is Death, which is the lodgepole pine. For Temperance, we have the water iris. This card looks perfect, doesn't have any issue, from what I can tell. For the Devil, we have Deadly Nightshade. So, yeah, with this card it says, in the Renaissance, belladonna, or deadly nightshade, was used to dilate women's eyes to give them the appearance of being sexually aroused, but could be fatal if the wrong dosage was administered. So that's very fitting for the Devil. Then we have the Tower, Wild Apple. The Star, which is Jasmine. Jasmine is one of my favorite flowers or fragrances. Actually, side note, if you don't know me, which you probably don't, because why would you? I probably haven't even posted anything at the time recording this, but I'm actually a jeweler, and when I get labradorite or moonstone from India, they always have the stones coated in like a jasmine oil. And when you open up the stones, you know, in the package, the first thing you get is hit with that beautiful smell. And I associate it so much, particularly with labradorite, because I noticed they do it more with labradorite. It's so that when they're shipping and the stones are, you know, brushing up against each other, they don't scuff and scratch, and there's, you know, like a lubricant between them. But it's like something done for utility with beauty, and I just adore that kind of thing, and have very fond associations with jasmine for that reason. So here we have the moon, which is the queen of the night. The one thing is, in my perfect version of a botanical deck, the moon, which this basically is, but for me, the moon would be the moonflower, because that's just the first thing that comes to mind for me. But because it also blooms at night, but obviously the queen of the night, which, as it says here, is a cactus that blooms for a single night, glowing in the desert and beckoning moths, bats, and has a heavy perfume to it. Its power is fleeting, but its pull is intense. So that's a great choice. I just love moonflowers. The sun is sunflower, which is on point. Judgment is the Easter lily. The world is quince. And again, this is the card. This is another one where I'm noticing the printing a little bit, just so that you know, like this, the postcard looks perfect. The card in the deck, don't know if you can see. Oh, I guess this is there as well. But it's just slightly more, there's slightly more irregularity. It doesn't impede for me, so I don't really have an issue. So now we're in the cup suit. We have Ace of Cups, which is lotus. Two of Cups is ghost orchid and pond apple. I can't wait to like actually dig in and read what all of these choices link back to. I'm not going to do it here because it would take forever, and it's part of the fun of getting the deck, right? So for Three of Cups, we have olive. Four of Cups, we have the pitcher plant. And another thing I love is like all the majors are, you know, the singular, the plant itself with nothing non-plant added to it. It's just in the composition and the choice of the plant that it evokes the energy of the card that it's representing. And then within each of the suits, you do actually get, you know, the symbolism of 4 vessels, 3 vessels, so on and so forth, and the other cards and suits, which again makes me feel like even though at first glance this is an intimidating type of deck, it's done in a way that's totally usable, I think. So for 5, we have Lily of the Valley. And for 6, we have Buttercups, which honestly, for 6 of Cups, just on a personal level, is so perfect because this is probably, if I was going to pick a flower that has nostalgic vibes for me, it's Buttercups and Honeysuckle, because when I was a kid and during the summer, I'd go with my parents to Long Island. Buttercups and particularly honeysuckle were one of my favorite things about summer out there. So yeah, perfect for 6 of Cups for me. And then for 7, we have Protea. So let's see, 7 of Cups, just to put one in here once in a while and how he chose these. The strange flower is named for the Greek god of change and portent, which I actually don't know what that word means, Proteus. In South Africa, it represents change and hope. The cups are calabash gourd water dippers, like the ones used by the Sotho people. So we have, 7 of Cups in here as a divinatory meaning is freedom, adaptability, anything is possible. If one can imagine it, one can create it. But that also still does give you the energy of what is, I think, a more traditional meaning, which is like not that this doesn't fit into the traditional meaning, but like the energy of having many, many options and kind of being overwhelmed with all of that, all of the choice, all of the things to consider, all of the emotional pulls on you, all of the cups that you can't hold at once, kind of a vibe. So for 8 of Cups, Aconite, beautiful. For 9 of Cups, Baobab. We'll see if I can pronounce any of these correctly. If you want to correct me because you understand or you know plants better than me, go for it. That's how we learn. The Page of Cups. Did I do this correctly? No, the 10 of Cups. Medanilla Magnifica. Wow. This is a gorgeous card. And then we have Page of Cups Wild Strawberry. Again, that's one that there's an extra of in the postcard format. The Knight of Cups is Eglantite. And so with the court cards, similar to how in the numbered cards you have little nods, little non-plant nods to recognize them, you have the symbol, of course, here, page, P for page, KN for knight, Q for queen, and then K for king. So you can go off of that, but also you have in the artwork this sort of crown type of thing for page, but you can tell it's not like a queen's crown or a king's crown. For the knight, you have helmet. For the queen, you have something that obviously looks more fitting for a queen. And the king, yeah, it's like the page one, except more fancy. Knight of Cups, by the way, I said was Eglantite, and then Queen of Cups here. We have Sorcerer's Garlic. Oh, how cool. That's interesting. And then for King, we have Sanctuary for King of Cups. Now we're into Ace of Swords. We have Sage, which is cool for clarity, clearing energy. That makes sense. For 2 of Swords, we have Sugar Kelp. And if you look carefully, there are 2 swords here, but it's blended in. Hard to see clearly, which, again, makes sense. I love this deck. It's like between the artwork, the actual choices of everything, it's just, I'm so excited to have this deck. 3 of Swords, we have the Bleeding Heart. Also grew up with these plants around me in childhood, so that's cool. 4 of Swords, we have Snowdrop. 5 of Swords, we have Stinging Nettle. 6 of Swords, we have Snuffbox Sea Bean. It's going to be really fun to learn all of these. 7 of Swords, we have Foxglove. How neat is that the swords are emerging? Like, this is what I mean when I say this feels very inspired. You can tell this is made by someone who's passionate both about tarot and plants and just, like, struck the harmonic between the two. And that gets me excited. So, how do I not get it? I mean, really. It was only inevitable. It was a matter of time. And I didn't have the patience. It's spring. I wanted to have this deck. So 8, Ice Plant, 8 of Swords. Our 9 of Swords, we have Poppy. Poppies represent sleep and are woven into the crowns of Greek gods of night and death. White seeds were added to a caudle of almond milk to induce deep rest and restful sleep, but it's very easy to misuse their power. Very cool. 10 of Swords, we have Bluebells. Ooh, our page, we have Mandrake. Oh. That's very cool. Our knight, we have Venus Flytrap for Knight of Swords. For the queen, we have red oleander. For the king, we have camellia. So now we're in the wands suit, and for the ace of wands, we have hawthorn. For the two of wands, we have snapdragon. The three of wands, we have the sakaki tree. For four of swords, we have frig's grass. For five of swords, we have thistle. For six of swords, we have clematis. For seven of swords, we have datura, which I think is sometimes actually called moonflower, but I was reading the other day that there's a different moonflower than datura that is actually more technically the moonflower. I don't know. They're both white flowers that look a lot like this and bloom at night, but the fragrance is particularly different, which was something I was looking into because I wanted to use a moonflower fragrance in a blend to make a perfume that was, in my mind, the essence of what moonstone smells like. I wanted to have... Anyway, that's a whole project that I'm working on the side. We'll get into later. So for eight of wands, we have blackberry. So for eight of wands, blackberry, the divinatory meanings described in here is dedication to a cause, successfully juggling multiple projects at once. And then as far as the plant goes, for blackberry, the description is, if seen in dreams, this thorny vine represents trouble, and if thorns prick you, it means there are enemies wanting to cause you harm or waiting to cause you harm. It is thought that the Christian crown of thorns may have been woven from blackberry bramble. The wands are vine staves, which were carried by Roman centurions. So that's interesting. Eight of wands, for me, is usually that, fast action, things are happening quickly, all of that kind of energy. So this is an interesting perspective on it that I look forward to working with, honestly. Expanding my perspective. So 9 of wands, we have saguaro, which is a cactus, desert plant. For the 10 of wands, are we in wands? Yes, right? Yes, wands. Okay. For the 10 of wands, we have forget-me-nots, which is ironic, because I was just forgetting where we are. The page of wands is a sacred fig. The knight of wands is passion flower, which that's perfect. I love that. Queen of wands is the hulupu tree, which I know nothing about, so I'm excited to learn about that. King of wands is pomegranate. And then lastly, or is it lastly? We've done cups, we've done swords, we've done wands. We are in the final stretch here. We have the ace, where is it? Yes, the ace of coins, which is grapes. The 2 of coins, which is blue water lily. 3 of coins is saffron crocus. The 4 of coins is honeysuckle. Cute. The 5 of coins is hellebore. 6 of coins, we have raspberry. 7 of coins, anemone. Oh, that's a beautiful one. Very beautiful card. The 8 of coins, we have acanthus. Also a beautiful card. I mean, they all are, but some strike me. 9 of coins, we have purple saxifrage. Saxifrage. I don't know how you pronounce many of these, so forgive me. 10 of coins, eucalyptus. Page of coins, we have daisies. Knight of coins, honesty, which I didn't know was the name of a plant, also known as moonwort. So this plant symbolizes honest work because of its semi-transparent seed vessels and its seeds that look like coins. It was thought to only grow in the gardens of honest people. The symbol is a silver tang dynastic hairpin, which might have been worn by a noble person in a time of great affluence and cultural wealth for China. So that's really cool to know that for the court cards, he's also likely mentioning, you know, the significance of the non-plant element that he's putting in. So our queen is chrysanthemum for our queen of coins. And then our king is oak. How cool is that? Is this not like one of the coolest unique decks that you've seen? I'm not gonna, at this very moment, I'm gonna put this back in order is what I'm trying to say. I also love the size because I'm a small person and with small hands. And this is a very comfortable size for me. Let me zoom back out. This is a very comfortable size for me to work with. I'm going to put this back in order. I'm going to look at it a little more, but I will come back with a clip right after this to look at this shuffled and kind of in like a 3-card spread, because I always like to see that when I'm looking at decks and trying to figure how I like them, and if they're one that I truly would work with. So I will do that and we can kind of go through that. This is already a super long video, but what can you do? Okay, so I actually sat with this deck a bit yesterday, and I adore it. I want to show you how it shuffles. For me, it's like an ideal shuffle, honestly. I really enjoy holding it and shuffling it. It's very easy to hold because of its size, but it like shuffles really well. Like I can basically get in every other card waterfall drop. I never riffle the normal way, but I don't think you'd have a problem if you do. But I think this is more gentle on the cards to do it this way, and with the gilding and all the gold details, wouldn't want to stress it out too much. I really try to keep my decks in good condition. So yeah, it shuffles great. What I'm going to say, I don't think I'll do like a reading because technically there's 2 cards missing from this deck right now, because I did a reading last night, and I recorded about it, and I'll post it as a separate video because it's kind of its own thing, and also about how I deal with cards that stock and how I do kind of basic or daily readings. So it's kind of its own whole thing. I don't want to, this is already a long video. I just want to show you it shuffles great. It's very comfortable. It's fun to shuffle. You know, some decks aren't that fun to shuffle. This is fun to like mindlessly shuffle. It's easy to do like a meditative shuffle with it, I guess is what I'm saying. And it also overhands very easily. very comfortably. So let's look at what cards look like laid out a little bit, because I don't know about you, but I like to see that when I'm looking at a deck and thinking about it. Let me try and get laid out here nicely. I feel like at first it's probably going to look like an overwhelming type of deck to read with. I don't find it to be difficult at all to read with. I think it's actually really interesting to read with. I think it looks beautiful in a spread. Aesthetically, it's gorgeous, but also symbolically, there's a lot to read into. It's, you know, for a botanical deck where oftentimes it feels like it might be difficult to connect with, for me personally, I'm finding it very easy to connect with, actually. So I will post a separate video where I'm kind of getting into a spread that I did more detailed. It's only going to be 2 cards, but there's plenty to go off of in 2 cards. And then I did pull some oracles with it. So keep an eye out for that. But even here, it's like, it's still Ace of Pentacles, 3 of Swords, and the Hermit. So you can go a new opportunity, or perhaps enterprise idea, or home idea, home-related idea. Perhaps a new home to be in or something. Something that was a new opportunity is kind of heartbreaking for some reason. Maybe you had your hopes and your heart set on a house and it didn't happen. And it's time to just kind of sit within and reflect and not, and just protect yourself a little bit and search within what that all means for you. I just feel like that's not a very good reading on my part, but you can get the idea that it's not as foreign as you might think. I've seen botanical decks that are honestly a little hard to intuitively feel into the cards. I don't feel this one is, especially as you learn, like with this pine on the death card and how it's chosen for the purpose of when pine forests, you know, like catch on fire, that's when these seed pods open and release seeds. And there's that transformation of something ending, but the result of it is something new starting. And that's Ace of Cups. That's a new hope, an abundance of an emotion that can be there. And then 4 of Pentacles, kind of clutching in and holding on to something. Or let's see what this says about the 4 of Pentacles. I guess it's called coins in this deck, but I just get stuck on Pentacles. So it's honeysuckle. These flowers have a sweet aroma with nectar that's delicious and easily gotten. It can be incredibly invasive vine that chokes out other local plants. The coin for this is wampum. Beautiful proto-currency, lost much of its monetary value when European forces conquered the eastern woodland tribes of North America. So in divinatory meanings, we've got immobility, clinging to nostalgia, excess breeds misery, the manacles of materialism. So maybe this is about letting something go and making room for that new emotion, but being stuck kind of clinging on to things in the materialistic world and not wanting to embrace that transition, that change, because of something that you're holding on to materialistically, in the sense of maybe something needs to end for new emotional fulfillment to have room to take root and to grow and to be flowing, but you don't want to physically change anything. And because of that nothing's going to change. You're not going to get this. You know, you can work with it. I don't think it's one that's hard to work with, which even I'm surprised by, because I thought, like, this is a really beautiful deck. I watched walkthroughs, and I felt like, you know, it looks like you can read with it. It looks readable, but I was still concerned because I would normally think to myself that this is going to be difficult to read with. There's not people, but I feel like even, I mean, the guidebook, small as it is, gives you nuggets to work with that really fit in and feel natural to me. And even in the composition of the imagery, it's like when I sat and looked at cards yesterday, I really feel like it's just so intentionally done. Like even with the Fool and the dandelion and these little pieces of the dandelion flittering away, taking a chance to become something. It's just like the composition, there's almost emotion in the plants, or there's emotion or there's motion. There's a sense of the energy that is beyond just depicting the plant on the card. To me, it's a great deck to read with, is what I'm going to say. And I'll probably end it here. So I'm going to have that video sometime after this one of me doing a reading with this that's more in depth. It was more of a personal reading for me, but I tried to keep it, you know, just kind of general so you get an idea. And then I'm also going to do a separate video pairing this with oracles, because I have about 4 or 5, I think it's 5 that I want to try with this, and that too is going to be a video in itself. So I'm just going to make it separate and not have this be a 6-hour long thing. So if you want to learn more about it and see it in action, then stay tuned for that. But I think this is gorgeous. I think the spreads lay out beautifully. And if you're drawn to it, I'm going to say, if you really sit and learn it a little bit and give it a chance, it's not going to be the kind of botanical deck that you buy and you think is beautiful and then you never really work with. At least for me. I think it has a poetry to it. I think the elements are intentional, and they give you things to read with it that are unique to this deck, and will give you new perspectives on cards, which is like one of the best part of having multiple decks, right? Because you're getting a different perspective on familiar cards. Like this Justice, 5 of Swords, and the Lovers. Like, yes, you can just look at the meaning of it, but when you know, like, with Justice, I think this was gladiolus, is that how it's said? I won't get deep into it, because I'm going to end the video here, but I don't think this is the kind of pretty deck where you just buy it and won't be able to work with it, is what I'm saying. So thank you for coming. Thank you for checking out the video. Have a good evening, morning, afternoon, or somewhere in between, and I will catch you in the next one.